it's issue 1.
Yep.
Which is it's your baby, basically. You kind of
it was my idea. I've been talking about this for, geez, almost a year, and you know, it's only become controversial in the past month. You know, 2 months ago, everyone was for this issue, and what your listeners need to know about issue 1 is that it is not a new tax. Whether it fails or passes, taxes are going to remain the same.
Yeah, you're just shoving the money from one place to another.
All we're doing is creating flexibility to spend more money on police and fire. And the bottom line right now is the primary duty of the city of Toledo is to keep citizens safe. And we cannot keep citizens safe if we don't have enough police officers fighting criminals and if we don't have enough firefighters fighting fires. And here's the issue. The formula change that issue 1 would allow was what Mayor Finkbeiner had for 3 of his 4 years. He had the flexibility to pay for police officers every year in his term except for this year. And I'll tell you one other thing. The flexible formula that the mayor enjoyed in 2008 was the last year of it, saved Toledo's behinds. And let me tell you why. When the economy hit, you know, crashed through the floor in the last quarter of 2008, we were able to use CIP money to balance the deficit at the end of 2008. Otherwise, we spent about $8 million in projects that could have waited in order to pay for, you know, general fund, police officer salaries, firefighter salaries. Had we not been able to do that, we would have carried an additional $8 million over into 2009 that we would have been, you know, having to deal with. And
well, let me ask you something. Is there a reason in the first place that the money that the taxpayers give you, that the taxpayer dollars, get split up like this originally? Is there a reason that it goes to the CIP and goes to the general? Why doesn't the money just come into one spot and the city at some point, along with the input from the council, say, all right, here's what's important. Here are our duties. Safety, trash pickup, water, reclamation, sewage, blah, blah, blah. And then here's what the money is we have left now. Here's what we can do. Why don't we just do it that way? Is there a reason for that?
Well, I don't have the full history. I mean, I can tell you that the 3/4%, as you said, temporary tax, allegedly, was first passed in 1982, and the original formula was a third police and fire, a third general fund, a third CIP, and that worked every year until around 2004, when then Mayor Ford and the rest of council decided they needed the more flexible formula of 1/6 in the CIP, and that's what issue 1 does, is to create that flexibility. You can argue the merits of earmarking, you know, some money, but the problem is during tough economic times when you know, we've got 15% unemployment rates. A lot of members of council feel this is not the time to be raising taxes, so issue 1 is a way of paying for police officers and helping to balance the budget deficit without raising taxes. And it just seems to me that Mayor Finkbeiner is fixated on raising taxes, and not only fixated on raising taxes, but fixated on raising his specific tax. And we have already held $3.9 million in the capital improvement program just waiting for voter approval. So nothing is going to be cut from what we're already planning on doing this year. And that's one thing that the mayor is saying, that, you know, voters need to understand. Nothing is going to be cut this year in terms of what our capital improvement plan was doing. We're just waiting for voter approval to use that $3.9 million to reduce the deficit.
All right, here's an exchange, and I know you're going to hear this for the first time here. An exchange between Mike Collins and Police Chief Navarre yesterday at a committee hearing.
If issue 1 fails, and the city is not capable of transferring $3.9 million to the general fund from the CIP fund, you've been here a number of years and you've served as the chief of police. Where is the impact going to come from in order to find $3.9 million in order to balance this budget if we don't have the ability to transfer it out? It's going to come from your division.
That is not a problem that I would be directly involved with solving.
So who would be directly involved with solving that problem, Joe?
I guess the mayor and the mayor's chief of staff, but I think my colleague Councilman Collins hits the nail right on the head. Is, you know, our concern is with, you know, minimum manning and fire. Mayor Finkbeiner has no plan to replace the $3.9 million. We're concerned it's going to come from cop layoffs, and to generate $3.9 million with police officer layoffs in that short of time before the end of the year, you would need to lay off 200 police officers, which is just unacceptable. And then on top of that, we would lose the cops grant. because the COPS grant requires that we maintain a certain level of police,
Right.
and we would drop way below that if we lay off 200 police, so then we lose those federal funds too.
And
so,
we have to keep that number in the fourth year, too. We get money for the third year. Here's the second exchange between the two.
Where in this city, where are these layoffs going to come from?
I can't answer that.
I think we can answer that pretty clearly. There really isn't any place for them to come from. You can't lay off firefighters because the contract calls for minimum staffing. You can't really cut any other departments at this time. They've already had an across-the-board cut for everybody. So your contention is they're going to come from the police.
I mean, our fear is, Mayor Finkbeiner laid off 75 police officers earlier this year. If issue 1 fails, we're concerned that he'll do it again.
Mm-hmm. Now, the other thing that Chief Navarre said yesterday, and I don't have the audio of it, is that he has been told by Bob Reinbold, by Carlton Finkbeiner, and by everybody else coming from the administration that there won't be any cuts in the police department.
Yeah, I mean, I've got Chief Navarre wrote me a letter, and it says, I have read with interest your comments regarding the potential layoff of 200 police officers in the event issue 1 does not pass. Please be advised that I have been assured by both Mayor Finkbeiner and Safety Director Reinbold that no further layoffs will occur, even if issue 1 fails. Now, the only problem with trusting the mayor is he changes his mind a lot. It wasn't more than a month and a half ago that Mayor Finkbeiner was for issue 1.
When this first went before council.
He saluted me. He said, this is the year to do it because we're getting the stimulus funds that'll help with the roads. He signed a resolution that I've got in front of me that urges voters to vote for issue 1. And that was signed by the mayor on July 10th.
Now, do you know what happened between then and now that has turned the mayor against issue 1?
I don't. And one of the things that's been frustrating being on council and being council president is in order to get things done in politics, 3 things need to happen. There needs to be communication, there needs to be negotiation, and both sides need to keep their word. There can't be agreements between council and the administration when the mayor keeps flip-flopping and not keeping his word. Even if he regrets deciding something, it's more important that we make a decision and move the community forward and then move on to the next issue than not getting anything done by flip-flopping. And I think this has been happening a lot. And this is just a case where the flip-flop affected council, but I think internally a lot of decisions, a lot of the slowness of the administration to make decisions are directly due to the mayor being indecisive. And it's no way to run a city. And we went to the voters with one voice saying, please support this, and then the mayor just, for some unknown reason, I don't know if he's mad at members of council or got up on the wrong side of the bed,
you'll never be able to figure it out.
Has flipped on it.
What do you tell the people, though, because obviously the opposing forces are going to tell them you're not going to get your streets fixed and everything. What's the answer to those people who do want to see, who have waited a long time to have their streets repaired, say after this mayor is gone and we have a new mayor in January? What happens the next couple of years then to the streets that need repairs, need to have their potholes, need new curbs, new sewers, and things like that?
Well, keep in mind that next year's capital improvement program and next year's budget will be up to the new council and the new mayor. So there's a big budgeting process that's going to begin the end of the year, but Mayor Finkbeiner is not going to be here in 2010, 11, and 12. So for him to prognosticate on what the specific numbers of the capital improvement program is it's crazy. I mean, if he's that good at predicting numbers, he should be buying lottery tickets. So that's going to be a debate for the new council and the new mayor. There's been a lot of things that could have been done this year to make government more efficient, so that we'd have more money, and that's been talked about by some of the candidates. Regionalizing city services.
Yeah, we've heard a lot of that.
Filling the non-general fund positions because of chargebacks, hiring the fire class to reduce fire and overtime, hiring the extra tax auditors to go after people who owe taxes to the city. There are a lot of low-hanging fruit that just Mayor Finkbeiner has not done that could have put more money into the city coffers so we could have more money for roads and we could have more money for police. But as I said earlier, it seems like Mayor Finkbeiner is fixated on one thing, and that's raising taxes. And if you want to help council, have some latitude and maybe avoid raising taxes, then we need voters to vote for issue 1.
All right, it's going to be on the ballot. It's up to you.